It's the pop culture show with cult classic swagger. This is Inglorious Brothers. I'm Matt Harper, and together with my brother Justin, we dive into the deep end of the zeitgeist each week to bring you cool talk and hot takes. No genre is too specific, no topic too broad, and no rabbit hole too deep as we open our minds and enjoy each other's company. Sound good? Then let's ride.
Hello and welcome to Inglorious Brothers. I'm Justin and I'm here with my brother Matt, and on today's show we're headed back to 1899, or rather 2018, in discussing Rockstar Games' seminal masterpiece, Red Dead Redemption 2. Arthur Morgan leads a gang of characters as they navigate the death throes of the Wild West, and we navigate our way to a better understanding of how this game has remained so relevant in a world of throwaway culture. We will discuss why this game has enjoyed such longevity in gaming circles, how it has inspired countless hours of internet content, and why no other game has topped it in nearly a decade. From simple how-to videos to in-depth videos about the lore to simply pure cinema, this game stands alone in its possibilities to create art. Red Dead Redemption 2 didn't just raise the bar, it redefined what a game could be. As Rockstar's highly anticipated Grand Theft Auto 6 is set to release later this year, and yes, you heard me correctly, Rockstar has not released a game since 2018, we will deep dive on what makes this game so special and why you and everyone you know can experience it in so many different ways. So strap on your six-shooter and tighten the saddle on your favorite horse as we take a ride with the Linde Gang on Inglorious Brothers. Yeah! Welcome to the show, everybody. We are set to talk about something that I am truly passionate about. I'm definitely a gamer when it comes to video games. I definitely count myself among the millions and millions of people that enjoy them highly. And we are talking about one of my absolute all-time favorites today, Red Dead Redemption 2. This was released by Rockstar Games actually on our dad's birthday in 2018, October 26, 2018. I wanted to start just by going through some of, just quickly, the superlatives on the success of it, and then I want to kind of dive into everything else. So,
wait, why Red Dead Redemption 2? Why was it 2 that became the touchstone and not 1?
Well, I played 1, but the difference for me is 1 feels very much like a video game. All right, it's an open world concept. You get to spend time in it. It has a lot of the same elements, but there's something about the sequel to Red Dead Redemption that is just vastly better. It ratcheted up everything that was great about the first one, but it made it, it just turned everything up to 11, to use a Spinal Tap reference. From its open world nature, meaning that you can just spend hours in it not actually doing anything, and the environment inside of the game is like a living, breathing thing. It is constantly having things happen in it. And you can play it just like a regular game and rock the story from front to back, but it has layers to it in the story mode that are unlike anything else that you will ever encounter, at least as of yet that you can encounter, meaning that it really starts to feel like a living, breathing world once you're in it for a while. All right, like, people react to you. Your gameplay dictates how the game reacts to you as the playing character, as the playable character, but the non-playable characters, the NPCs, they react in a way that is unlike anything that you've ever seen. And the attention to detail that Rockstar put into the game, from just little throwaway things like how people eat, is is done, it's made in a way to make it way more immersive than anything else that's ever come before it. And that's what makes it so special, is that it begins to really feel real at some point, that there is consequence to the actions that you take in the game. But then there's this whole other side of it where you have the ability to, essentially you can, make it's so cinematic in its nature that it just lends itself to creative, ideas. For someone like me that likes to edit videos and put little movies together, it allows you a freedom that I've never experienced in just about any other game, maybe with the exception of Grand Theft Auto 5. But its hyper realistic nature is so good, and it looks amazing. It's the vistas, the way the sun works, the way that the stars are. I mean, there's real stars in the sky. You can look up in the sky while you're tooling around in this world at night, and you can see Orion's belt. Like, you can go, oh, that's Orion's belt. There are, I saw today something like they put in 40 different constellations, and they are accurate. And
do they change like during the course of the year and stuff like that? The position in the sky and stuff. That would be wild.
Well, I definitely have noticed that you can look in different directions and see the same sky in different ways. So it definitely does evolve. But it's all of these minor details that add up to make a game that is wholly unlike anything that you've ever experienced, because those details make it feel more real when you're kind of in the world. And the longer that you're with it, the more it starts to feel that way. Now,
all right, hold on.
Sure.
Pause. So, little on-air production meeting, because I'm afraid that that any one of these facets of this thing could turn into a 2-hour long conversation.
Probably.
I think we should break it up into two parts. The first part is the game itself.
All right.
And what makes it so special, because I've got a lot of questions about just the making of the game and how it plays and different kinds of dynamics. Sure. But then the thing that I think I'm even more interested in is how, like you said in the intro, how it lends itself to external creativity, to using the game itself as a medium for other forms of expression. So let's really get into that, because that's obviously something that you're into, something that we've talked about on this show. And I'm fascinated by that side of it. So, I don't want to get buried under a bunch of other stuff and not get to that.
All right. Well, guess what? It's our podcast. We can do what we want. Let's make 2 episodes out of it. All right. So one of the things because obviously I've played the game, I've got a lot of reference for it. I don't need to take a lot of notes on the story or all that stuff. So what I spent my time with researching this week and kind of prepping for the show was, I wanted to know a little bit more about what this game has meant from a business standpoint, and some of the superlatives, because there were things that I didn't realize. I thought it had won Game of the Year that it came out. It actually didn't. But what's really interesting about it is that over the years since its release, it's almost as if when it was released, people didn't realize how good this game was, and they kind of ticked it off to just being like, oh, this is just another entry in another entry in a long list of Rockstar games that are very, very good and some of the best that there are. But it's somehow over time, it's like it just keeps it has the staying power that's really, really strange.
What do you owe that to?
How good the world is and how immersive it is, because one of the things that this game does that is very atypical in the gaming world is it literally kind of forces you to slow down. Okay. Most games, it's they want to keep the pace up. If you've ever seen Call of Duty or played Call of Duty, it is fast paced. It is hyper fast, and it's boom boom boom. It's all action. It's all it's just it's coming at you
Right.
very very fast. This game goes the exact opposite way. You will get more enjoyment out of this game when you take it slow as opposed to trying to take it fast. I've played through it now multiple times, and each time that I've played it, I kind of I look for different things. This most recent time, because I wanted to grab a bunch of stuff for video editing, I wanted to have more interactions with the other characters. So it's wild, the dialogue that you can have. So I'll get into that, but let me just kind of go through this first base stuff, just to kind of throw some of these crazy numbers out at you, just to see.
You should also kind of set it up a little bit for the audience. I mean, like, give people an idea of what it is, because we should say from the start that, like, my entree into this, I have never played the game. So we got one of us who's like a complete, like, expert completist, multiple times on this game. We've got another one of us who, has not played even a single minute of this game. However, as part of this whole project that we're doing with this episode, I have watched an edited cut of
the story
of the game that goes throughout the game. And it's sort of like parts of it are made up of like interstitial material from when you're playing the game, like where you can't control what's happening. You're watching a cinematic piece. I'm sure there's a name for that. Yeah.
Cutscenes.
Yeah. So it's made up of, it's like a long edit of cutscenes plus some gameplay interwoven into it, as the characters that are being referred to in the cutscenes, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a very artful way to produce a piece of content from something that was not intended for that.
No, because it really is intended for it to unfold to you over time, because it's almost like you're living the last year in the life of this Wild West outlaw.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And all right, so we'll peel back a little bit. So Rockstar has for years, starting with their GTA series, the Grand Theft Auto series, has developed these really, really great story mode games that are, they are not just point A to point B. All right. So you have a story, and you get to make choices in how you go about that story, and the world itself. And this is what makes Rockstar Games stuff so unique. The world is open. So when you are not in a story, you can go explore. You can go to every far corner of the map and, do whatever you want to do in that world. So, it's very interesting in that. It's very unique in that way. Not that there aren't other open world games, but Rockstar has really, really perfected what they do. So,
is there an edge to the world? Like,
yes, absolutely. There are parts where you can't go. It is finite. Absolutely.
I've heard that in some recent games, like, you can point your character in a certain direction and just lay a couple of quarters down on top of the go button and walk away for a couple of days, and it'll just walk and walk and walk and walk and walk and walk.
There are, but what's different about those,
because it's like building. It's like it's building as you're walking. It builds.
Correct.
It builds the game in front of you.
Correct. But when you have games like that, it also limits the realism effect of it. So when you can just go and go and go and go, the IP itself, it can't just keep producing infinite. It can keep giving you this much for infinity, but that much doesn't feel the way that this does. So
that's what AI and that 900,000 square foot data center that's being built 42 miles away from your house is for.
Yes, most likely.
That's where it's going. Like I'm watching this thing and the graphics are like, I'm like, these graphics are completely amazing considering that you can play the game, but compared to what AI can generate right now, those graphics are a joke. Like, you know what I'm saying? With
Yes,
with just a couple of years, and I cannot imagine what these games will look like with the steady hand of AI drawing all the stuff.
here's what makes these games. There is a very key difference that makes these games better and more realistic than that. And our minds, we know, like we're already training ourselves to know when we're seeing AI.
Yeah.
Right, we're already noticing the difference.
Hmm.
This is mocap. All right, everything that you see, everything that you watched, was an actor in a studio in mocap doing the
Right.
performance. All right, the guys that do the voices did the performance. They took cues from their faces. It is their performance. I mean, it is a real performance on par with anything that you see in an Oscar-winning movie. It is just as much of a performance
Yeah, yeah.
as that. All
No, I
right,
get it.
and AI is not, just like we know that AI is never going to completely get rid of actors and musicians because it just can't. It can't
Yeah, but what
produce
I'm
a
saying
real
is
performance.
the AI could. I'm not saying that the AI necessarily even replaces the mocap stuff. What I'm saying is like the 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 rendering on the end of it will be just like much tighter. I'll give you a
Yeah, yeah,
perfect
yeah.
example.
Most
I'll give you a
likely.
perfect example. Like they did not figure out how to make it look like a woman is effectively crying. The women would cry and they'd be sobbing. You'd hear them sobbing, but you're watching the faces and they don't, the faces are not sobbing. You know
You're
what I
right.
mean?
I see what
And
you're
like
saying.
stuff like that, AI will smooth that out in an instant.
Very like well, and that's the whole thing. So that's the the engine that runs Red Dead Redemption 2, the one that's going to run GTA 6 it's based off of this engine, but it's a whole nother level. So like
Yeah.
we're about to take an 8 year. I mean, this game's GTA 6 has been in development long before 2018. We are about to jump and see what if this was this evolution that came out in 2018 and it's still this good. The next
Yeah.
evolution is going to be even because they keep raising the bar.
So is it definitely coming out in 2026? Like it was supposed to come out last
It's
year.
been delayed like 5 or 6 times, and all signs point to it's going to be released in November.
Sweet.
So, so the original budget. So I want you to put in your head like movies. Now I do have some movie stuff in here, so just for comparison's sake. So again, it was released 10/26 of 2018. The original budget for the development of the game was $540 million. All right. As of February of 2026, the gross revenue for the game is well over $5 billion.
Yeah, I can believe that.
All right. It sold 82 million units. Its opening week sales, so the first week, $725 million in sales. All right. For comparison, the highest grossing movie of all time is Avatar at $2.924 billion on a $237 million budget. All right. In its
So
first
so
week,
it's basically like double Avatar. It's like cost twice as much and it's made well more than twice as much.
hold on. Wait till you hear the real stuff out here. So the first week for Avatar was 137 million. So I mean, it dwarfs the first week. So according to reports from early 2026, RDR2 is still selling millions of copies annually, nearly 8 years after its launch. The only games that are bigger than this game are Minecraft, all right, which is multi-generational, multi-platform, Like you can play it on any game, on any system that you want.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Wii
I
Sports.
literally have Minecraft on my phone.
Wii Sports, okay, which was included with the original Wii. So every single unit that had a Wii had Wii Sports. So it has a massive number. And then Rockstar's own GTA 5, which released in 2013, all right, has sold 225 million units, all right, with an estimated $9 billion in revenue on a $265 million budget. All right, that's a 3,296% return on investment. All right. Now,
Crazy.
so what that means is the last two games that Rockstar has released, all right, which is now Take-Two Interactive, all right, they have cost together $805 million and grossed over $14 billion.
Crazy.
All right. So it won 175 plus Game of the Year awards. It won for Best Narrative, Best Performance, Score, Audio Design. It has, crazy recognition across the industry. It's widely considered one of the greatest games that was ever made. All right. So again, I said $725 million in the first 3 days is where that total came from. Let me go here. So it had a 2,000 page script, 500,000 plus lines of dialogue.
That's wild that the script it's like that the script is so long because, that's part of it that you like watching it as a 5 hour, supercut situation like I did. It's like, it can be hard to follow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a function of the fact that this is written to be ingested at a far slower pace than
100%.
an actual movie. You know what I'm saying?
Because it's meant to unfold like real life.
It was the music. Was a lot of the music in that supercut like added aftermarket?
I'm not sure. It has an unbelievable score.
I mean, I'm sure it has a score and all, but like, is it your impression that they grabbed like an isolated copy of the score and then cut it up and used it in their own way over the scenes that you're watching that they've also edited together? Have they done sound editing?
I don't know that for sure. My guess is most of the music you're hearing is what comes from the game.
I should have read the notes. Well, I know I'm saying it could all come from the game. I'm just wondering if they were able to acquire like the soundtrack isolated, you know what I'm saying? Or they could have isolated it themselves. I was wondering that as I was watching. I'm like, is this I was just like hearing the music and like being like, damn, this is like so perfect for this scene. But I can tell I'm watching like a gameplay scene. This is not a cut scene, or what did you call it? A cut
scene.
Yeah, cutscene. This is actual gameplay I'm watching, and yet, damn, this soundtrack sounds like it's like seems so perfect for this scene.
If you go to this, so one of the reasons why I gave you, so you watched a 5-hour edit, and then I sent you 2 video edits that I made myself. So both of them being kind of 30 minutes or so from the end of the game. So I gave you the last 30 minutes. By the way, spoilers. All right. If you've never played the game and you don't want the story spoiled, which is a great story.
We're 25 minutes in and you're giving a spoiler warning.
Well, we haven't really spoiled anything yet. I'm giving the spoiler warning right now.
Go ahead.
So in the first video that you would have watched from mine, the one that I said, stop watching their video and start watching this. There's the scene where Arthur kind of like puts on the hat and he rides off. All right. And it's like in the sunset and he's riding towards the danger. And it goes into that like really, really like dramatic, song. And you hear the people doing the voiceovers. Like that is the score of the game. Like that is 100% how the game is supposed to be. All right.
Yeah.
When you get to action scenes, the score ratchets up. I mean,
it seemed in that part that like they had edited like that part seemed like long. Like it seemed like if you were playing the game, you would not have gotten all all of the like remembrances of things that people said, like you would
Yes.
have gotten some of them, or they would have been trickled out over like a longer period of time.
So
But like watching it in this supercut, you're just like, yeah, that and that one, okay, and that one, yeah, and that one, and that one, and that, you know what I mean? Like it was like overkill.
but now think about this, okay? Is it over? But see, this is what the beauty of it is. So think about it like this: say you've spent 25 hours playing this game, and you get to that point, all right, and you those are experiences that you lived in, okay, and now. And there's an even deeper layer to it. Depending on how you play the game, it changes what voiceovers you hear during that scene.
Right. Well,
All right.
that's another question that I have too.
Yeah.
Like that leads to another huge
So let
question
me
that I
here.
have.
Let me get past the superlatives, and then we'll jump into all of the things that you want to cover here, real quick.
Don't bog us down with too
No,
many
I'm not.
superlatives.
I'm just gonna just. I think that you'll be very interested to hear a couple of these. So now, 1,200 actors, 300,000 animations, 200 plus different animal species inside the game. Again, building that real world feel. All right. It's been used in academic studies, college level courses. It's still heavily streamed. Content is still heavily streamed to this day. Now, when it comes to GTA 6's expectations, all right, it is projected that in the first 60 days that it's going to gross $7.6 billion. All right. And it could hit 1 billion just on pre-orders alone. And it's likely to be potentially be the biggest media launch of any kind ever. Like the biggest single piece of media that was ever produced.
Well, video games have already like eclipsed like movies just in general in terms of like revenue and stuff, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's huge money. So now, when it comes to the actual game itself, so the game it starts with you're in the mountains, and like they start you really slow. Like you have to learn how to
Well,
hunt.
do you have a choice in like what character you play, or you
Nope.
or do you, are you
You are Arthur Morgan. That is your
right?
character. So you play
Okay,
the main character.
gotcha.
So in everything revolves around you. Now in the
Is
first
there
game,
is there a multiplayer thing? Like,
yeah, there's an online version of it. We can get into that, but it's the story is really where it's at. The sad part about the online thing is that it's not been as successful as GTA Online has been successful. I have my own theories on that, but it's we'll get to there. So the original game, Red Dead Redemption, the main character was John Marston. Okay. And so at the beginning of this game that John's going to live because John is in the first game. So you already go into it kind of, if you
wait,
played the
the
first game,
second game is
is a sequel. So the Red Dead Redemption 2 is a prequel.
is a prequel.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So going into it, if you've played the first game, you know that John Marston is going to live. All right. But you don't know the rest of it because you
Is that is he the guy that was in the one of the things that you put together at the end
yes,
where
at
he's
the
like
end.
building
He's
the
the guy with the
house?
scars on his face.
Is he the one like building a house?
He's the one that he has the kid. He has the kid in his will be would be wife eventually is Abigail.
Is he the one that is building the house?
Yes.
Okay.
So he is also the one that Arthur is very involved in like trying to make sure that John makes it out alive because of his because he has a child. All
What's
right.
the yeah, that would see that part I was like the relationship between Arthur and that guy I was just completely confused by.
Because
And
so
like I was almost like when I saw the piece that you did afterwards, I was like, who is that guy?
so John, originally, in the beginning, Arthur saves John. He was attacked by wolves. Him and Javier go out. It's one of the very first missions that you do in the game. You go out in the snow. You rescue John, and it's how you start to learn the mechanics. So really, right from the beginning, the game very slowly builds you into learning how to run the mechanics of the game, and it starts you out really really slow.
And
So
that's another question I have. Like the game sort of like pushes you through the story.
correct.
Is it like a tree where like you reach certain points and you can go this way or this way and then like different things happen?
Yes.
Like are there multiple endings to the game, or
No.
will ultimately the
Oh yeah,
game's
yeah. Well,
if you finish the thing, is it going to put you? Are you going to end in the same spot, like somehow, some way?
you'll always end in the same spot, but how you get there can be different, if that makes sense. So there's a couple of key mechanics. So you have the first thing you have is the honor system. So your whatever you do in the game affects your honor. So you have a bar and it goes up and down based on if you do good things or do bad things. If you choose to do bad, if you choose to kill people, if you choose to do this, you get it knocks your honor down. If you choose to do good, it lets your honor rise. Now, depending on your honor level, all right, NPCs will respond to you differently. If you're a cold-blooded killer and you're doing a run of the game where Arthur is just a horrible person, NPCs react to you differently in the world. If you're playing good, they'll react to you in more favorable ways.
How do you indicate that he's a horrible person? Like what about the gameplay
if you
enables
just
you
run
to?
around just murdering people, you will lower your honor all the way down.
Right.
So there are different things in the world like that you can do will raise and lower your honor.
And
So
are the characters going to react differently to you, like in the cutscenes and stuff like that? Will you get a different
yes,
set of
you'll get
cutscenes
different
depending
dialogue.
on?
You'll get different dialogue, absolutely. So I'll give you a perfect example. One of the really beautiful scenes towards the end of the game can be found two different ways. You can either meet the nun at the train station, which is how I started that edit. So you got that conversation, or that conversation, if you're a low honor, will be with the drunken priest that like rolled around in the camp, the one you save off, the one that gets saved off the bridge.
Right.
So depending on your honor, the game will change the narrative, all right, slightly, but you'll end up in the same place, but you'll get there in a different way. You can choose to go back for the money. Okay, at the end of the game, you have a choice of, do you help John and escape, or do you go back for the money? All right, you can go back for the money and have a shoot, and then all that stuff that happens on the mountain happens in the cave. All right, it's
Oh, the
complete.
John guy was that guy where he was like, "I'm not going back. I have a family to worry about."
Yes,
And
that's
Arthur
John.
was like, "All right, I'll fuck it. I'll go with you."
Yes, and
Oh.
and
Was he just like one of the guys in the gang?
yeah,
Like the John dude? He was
he
just
was
like one
there
of
the
the
whole
guys.
time. He in the very beginning, he was hurt, and until you get to like where you're in the Valentine area, when you get to the like when you get out of the snow, he was hurt. So and then he's the guy you go rob the first train with, and you do there's a couple of different things. He's the guy you rescued that gets rescued from jail. He gets picked up. But the big thing with John and Arthur is that Arthur resents John because he's not being a good father. All right. Arthur really takes that personally because Arthur had a son that was murdered. All right. So he had a woman and a kid, and they kind of lived somewhere off, and he would come back time to time. And he came back at one point. There's a beautiful scene during the gameplay where he's talking to a character, and he's like, "I had a son once," and da da da. And he tells the story.
Yeah, yeah, I
And
remember that.
and the story is that his son was murdered. The woman and the son were murdered by, for $10 or something like that, for some pittance of money. And so he resents John for not being a good father because Abigail was a whore, and he happened to be the one that got her pregnant, and so there's like this weird resentment thing that's going on, and John has a lot of growing up to do. And one of Arthur's kind of final things is that he wants to help John and his family get away safely. He cares more about them than just about anybody else, because part of his draw as his life is nearing its end is that he wants to help this guy. Like, it's very important. And so during the gameplay, you get wrapped up in this. This then becomes your goal because, you know, throughout the entire thing, you kind of start in this very gang mentality. And then, you know, once you cross the bridge over to where, you know, Arthur knows he's going to die, you know, all of a sudden the clock is running. And so he wants to, you know, set things right, as you know, as it were. And he gets very disillusioned with the whole concept of the gang because like a couple of things happen in the very beginning, like right before you enter the game and you start the narrative of it. You know, the gang was kind of this one thing, and it's been this one thing for 20 years, and since Arthur was a kid, and he was raised by these guys, and these new people are coming in, like Micah. You know, Micah Bell is the one of the antagonists of the whole game, and he's in the gang. And he's a new addition. And since the new addition of Micah, the gang has been in turmoil and there's been bad things happening and things have been going awry and wrong. And, you know, Arthur gets disillusioned with the concept of the gang, and it feels like it's losing its, you know, the gang is losing its way. So, you know, you are navigating through that. That is, the game itself is navigating through that. And then, so you have the story, and the story is moving in a linear fashion. But to go back to your question, during the gameplay, there are certain missions that are going to advance the gameplay, and then there are side missions, or what they call them stranger missions. So you'll get you'll just randomly be rolling along in the world, and you'll see a question mark pop up on you have a little map, and you'll see a question mark on your map. And if you go to the center of that question mark, if you go to where that question mark leads you, you're going to meet somebody in the world, and you're going to have an interaction with them. And in most cases, you have 2 or 3 interactions with them. So you meet, you know, there's one where you meet these 2 escaped prisoners and you help them, and then you come upon them later and they're sick and you help them again, and then you come upon them even later in a completely different part of the world, and, you know, have another interaction with them. And it's like that all through the game. And so there's all these little things. So you can ignore all that if you want, but that's what makes this world so special. All right. And then on top of that, there's hunting. You get taught how to hunt. You get, you know, there's legendary animals that you can go get. There's, you know, crazy bears and gators and, you know, wolves, and you can go kill them and make clothes out of their pelts. You know,
the part where they built the house was amazing.
So that's in the epilogue, and like even in that, you're kind of guided to build with it.
Yeah.
So that
was super cool. And you get to see how, like, what the entire construction of the house was like too.
Yeah. Well, and there's even more to that. And that's what I mean. Like, you're only getting a taste of, when you don't play it, you're only getting a taste of all that stuff, because there's all kinds of stuff that go around with that. There's little missions that you gotta go and get supplies, or you gotta take a wagon somewhere, or you gotta do this, or you gotta do that. But all of those, like, task driven things are what make it feel so real. You know what I mean? And that's where the crazy part about what makes this game so special is it forces you to live his life. All right. And go and try to get certain things. And what I'll do is we're going to take a quick break, and then I'll explain a little bit more about how the mechanics of tasking works and what it can do for you to help improve the gameplay. So on that note, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Please check out our other show, Beyond the Slipstream, a weekly podcast about pro cycling, and oh, did I mention pro cycling? We're kind of obsessed. Search and subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, or click the link in the show notes.
Welcome back. One of the things that I kind of, that you will have not gotten from what you watched, is how the mechanics of the game really affect the environment. Because when I say that the game is like alive and functioning in not in real time, but in game time, It really is. So, for instance, things when from the beginning of the game to the epilogue, it's a 7-year span. Things evolve. The world fleshes out more. Buildings get built. Things that were under construction are no longer under construction. Things that weren't under construction are under construction. So the game itself, the world itself is evolving as you play, all right, as time is passing. The other thing is that it's completely customizable in the sense that you, as Arthur, you can choose your clothes. You have to eat. Okay, like there's a mechanic that you have to eat. Like you can gain weight, so you can become fat if you want. You can grow your hair long. You can grow your beard out. You can shave. You can, do all of these different things. And essentially you have three cores. You have your health, so like your life. You have stamina, and then you have Deadeye. And one of the things that I'm sure you have a question on is when it goes into that like sepia tone and it's like goes into slow motion. Right, that is the Deadeye mechanic, and that allows you as the playing character to be able to do the cool from the hip bang 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 kind of firing and kill multiple targets at once. All right, easily. And so you have all these different things, and all of those mechanics expand as you progress in the game. So at first you have a shitty horse, and you either have to and like I said, when I say that the world is alive, you can go out in the world and find a wild horse, all right, and you can approach it. You have to be calm. You can then mount it, break it, and make it your own horse. All right. You can also go to a stable and buy a horse. All right. But once you bond with that horse, there's 4 levels of bonding. So like as time progresses, you bond with your horse, and your horse becomes braver. It increases its stamina. It gets scared less. Certain breeds of horses scare more easily than others. So there's a lot of these like minor little tweaks that you can do to improve your gameplay as you go along and make it your own. So like you don't want to have Arthur's base outfit. You can go put on whatever outfit you want. You can get a new hat. You can get a new this, gloves. You can craft. You can literally, that's another big part of the game, is being able to craft items. So if you kill and skin animals, you can then take them to a trapper and he'll make clothes for you. Will
what the choices you make in terms of your appearance change the look of the interstitial materials? Like the cutscenes or whatever?
You'll be wearing those clothes in the cutscenes. Absolutely. Oh, and when you wear one of the funnier things is like when you wear clothes from the trapper that are made from animals, people will react to you weirdly. They'll be like, "Ooh, why are you wearing such weird clothes?" You know what I mean? And so they will react to you wearing those types of items. So the world is really alive, and bounces back. Like you're sending stuff out and it's bouncing different things back at you all the time. And
it's impressive that the cutscenes will modify based on the clothing choices you make. That's amazing.
Like, for instance, I feel like the clothes and the clothes have an effect on you in gameplay too. If you're wearing an outfit, if you are in a snowy area and you're wearing light clothes, it will damage your health core. Okay, like if you're in a snowy area, you need to bundle up, or else it'll hurt you. Okay, if you don't eat, you will lose weight. You will become weaker. Go ahead.
So, well, I feel like we're getting bogged down in all these details of like so clearly they have dialed up the detail to 11 and made all of these like sort of like quantifiable and interactionable tiny little things. There's probably, 1,000 different things in this game that are just like can be interacted with and will affect things in other ways. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all kind of mathematics behind it,
Mm-hmm.
But uh, I guess I want to talk about how the game is used outside of the game. I mean, if you want to talk about
Sure.
what it's like to complete the mission or whatever, you can walk us through that. But then let's get on to talking about stuff like this supercut that I watched.
So, most people are going to play it the first time, and you will miss, I mean, I know from my own experience, I missed tons of stuff the first time I played it. You know what I mean? Because the first time you play it, you want the story, you want to continue on, you want to see what happens, and so you're compelled to keep going and to see it through. To
Not
the end.
not do side quests.
You will do side quests, but like sometimes, like for me, in the subsequent times that I've run through the game, it's been more about, like I want to experience, like I want to have even more experiences, because some of them are very key to your, how you feel about the game and how you get to the end. And like, it's funny, both of my kids, cried when they, when Arthur died. Both of them had, extremely, emotional responses to it, because you've just spent, in some cases 20, 30, 40, 60 hours,
Yeah, it's crazy.
with this character. And, when you get to the end of it, it's very emotional because you've spent so much time in the world with that person that when the end comes, and it's really, really tough because like, that it's coming, once he's sick, once they get back from Guarma and he sees the doctor and the doctor tells him he has tuberculosis, it's like the timer starts counting down even faster. And so like, that the inevitability is that he's going to die. And so it just, as Arthur is dying even more, the gang itself is also dying. So like the dynamic of the gang and what was like family in the in hour one is now like the whole family's falling apart, and like these people that you've grown accustomed to as being part of your family are dying off one by one by one by one, and it's very emotional by the time you get to the end of it. It's one of those things that that can't translate to something like that supercut. Like you can get a good bit of it, but you yourself won't have the same experience as when you've actually played it. So like all of those little mechanics make it feel more real, and they give all of these interactions more weight. All right. And so sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, so you get through that first playthrough, and now you want more. All right. And what this game really dares you to do is slow down and experience more of this world that they've created. And it's so fleshed out, and it's so, it's so diverse that there's so many different experiences you can have. You can hunt, you can fish, you can trap, you can have adventures, you can you meet people on the road, you rescue people, there's tons of just random interactions just throughout the world where like you'll just be riding along, you're just trying to go from point A to point B, and all of a sudden you get attacked by wolves, all right, or you get attacked by a grizzly bear, or guys pop out from the side of the road and try to rob you, and you got to deal with it. Like you are the world is happening to you as you go through. And so you kind of like, okay, you get to the end of it, you're like, shit, I want more of that. So like now you go back and you're having different interactions, and you're playing it a little differently, and you didn't do this the last time, and you should have done that. And so you start playing it differently, and then you get to a point where you've played it and you've kind of gone through it, and for all of a sudden you start to realize that there's a giant culture of people that are into this. And so all these different content creators that love this game have now started to make content, and it's like you have all the basic stuff where it's like, here's how you do this, here's how you beat this challenge, here's how, here's the secret to beating this or to doing this, or you want to find this certain animal because like there are times when you need to find particular animals and
like cheat codes
right.
basically.
Well, there's cheat codes too, but you can't, if you use a cheat code, you can't save. So they give you all kinds of different, your actions always have consequences, but sometimes the challenges are really hard and you don't know how to do it. And somebody's like, oh, here's how you beat that. Here's an easy way to do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's like it's like having a cheat code.
Yeah.
Watching
a guidebook.
Yeah. Watching a video like that.
But then you have this other set of people. So you have those types of videos, but then there are people that love this game so much that they deep dive on aspects of it. There's a whole series of videos that go into the lore for each location on the map. So there's like a dead town called Pleasance in the middle of Lemoyne that they go in there like, well, here's what happened here, and it was settled at this point. And there's a 30-minute video on this set piece.
Is that stuff that they are gleaning from the game, or are they like writing fanfic?
No, they are gleaning at because the game itself, they leave so many breadcrumbs for you to follow. There's newspapers that you can buy that have articles that just expand on everything. When you loot certain people, you get a letter, or you get sometimes you'll be in some house and you'll pick up a piece of paper and it'll have stuff written on it, and so over the course of 8 years, people have just been discovering this stuff. And then there's this whole litany of content creators that are just out there telling you about the essentially the Easter egg of it all. All right. Like, look at this hidden thing, this detail that you missed. There's a whole series of like hidden details that you missed in Red Dead Redemption. And, there's shorts and there's long form videos. And then there's an insane amount of people right now that are just streaming, playing this game for the first time. Tons of them. Tons of content creators, like video game content creators that or maybe they were young when the game came out. And
it's like a reaction. It's like a reaction video, basically. People are watching them play because it's fun to watch someone enjoying this thing that I love so much for the first time.
Yes, 100%.
Just like it's fun to watch somebody reacting to Danny Carey Numa. You know what I mean? I've seen it 1,000 times, but let's see this guy's mind get blown.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so because it's so varied, you have that. So... And then it goes into, people, where, like, for me, I see so many different possibilities of what to do with it. And for me, one of my things, and I kind of got derailed because of the online. So there is an online version of it. All right. The online version of it is its own game. It sets apart because it's a world that allows you to then play with other people and interact with other people in real time. So you're not, I take it you're not playing like that same character. No, you're your own. In this case, you're your own character, and it is situated prior to the game. So it scales everything back. So it's not, you're in like 1897 as opposed to 1899. So it's before the events of all these things. So like some characters some side characters pop up in the online version, and it is kind of its own perpetual game that just goes and goes and goes. Same world, same map. All right. But it has a wholly different feel because it's meant to be a longer term play. It's supposed to continue to capture your imagination for a long time. Is there a story mode for it as well? Yes, there are story missions, but it's a lot of, grinding to be able to get money. You can have businesses. You can have a moonshine business. You can have a trading, a fur trading business, and, different things to generate income so that you can, buy things, etc. Very much in the vein of GTA Online. Now, the biggest problem with it is that this is the hard part, where GTA Online for the last 10 years has been able to just evolve and add things and like throw in, here's new cars and here's new weapons and new this and new that, and here's a couple new missions or whatever. Because you have all of time, you can throw 50 years worth of cars at people, and now they can have new things. You can't really do that with this game. It has a shelf life based on its limitations of time, meaning that it's 1897. You don't have cars, so it's like you can only have so many horses. You can only have so much fucking clothes, and so it gets stale very quickly. Whereas the story mode also will get stale for you once you've beaten everything, but you can go back and start it over again and have a whole new experience. Mm-hmm. But the other thing that people have done is they figured out that this very, very realistic game makes great cinematic type content. There's a channel called Red Dead Realism, I think is what it's called. And they make some of the most insane gameplay videos you will ever see. And they are it's just hyper realistic, heads getting blown off, like super crazy thing, great colors, it's super cinematic. And you have this, and there's just endless amounts of this stuff out there to consume if you want to consume it. I mean, it goes on and on.
Did you put a link for that thing anywhere?
Yes, there is I did a clip. It's like Agent 1899 or something like that. I think it says. I think it might be at the bottom of my notes.
Yeah.
There's also a video where some guy followed an NPC for 14 days, like in-game days, just to see what he was doing, just to see because and that's the crazy part, is that like Rockstar has animated this entire world. Everything has a purpose or a move or a stationary place. Like people go from point A to point B. They sit down in a restaurant, they eat, they drink, they get up, they interact with people, and again, most of the time it's just stuff that you're not even paying attention to, but it's because it's there, it makes everything feel more real. All right. And so now you have all of these people that are now creating things like this edit. There's a 9-hour version of that same type of edit that you can go out and watch. It's way more in depth. It gives you even more of the story because you're only getting a taste of it. Like you're getting a very, very small taste of that story. And it's an amazing story. I think, I kind of perused your notes a little bit just to see like how you digested some of it. And I thought it was interesting about, you made a comment about the turn of phrase and like how sometimes they use like, turn of phrase. And it's like, you got to remember too, this thing's being developed by, hundreds, probably thousands of people. And, they're writing tons and tons of dialogue and options and all these different things.
Yeah.
And, it's funny, but you're right. Some of those like things that seem like they shouldn't be there have made their way in, but I just think that that's a result of, the fact that you have so many different hands, in the mix, doing things, and like, somebody was like, oh, well, just write that or whatever, and you don't think about it, it wouldn't have been said that way. Sorry, excuse me. But now what's crazy is that this game's been out for 8 years and people are still discovering it. They're still, finding new ways to make new content with it. And like I've done a couple of different music videos where I've made like essentially long form trailers to music videos where I literally take all of this, footage that I have produced and done and jumped this and shot that and ducked behind this and jumped off a bridge and swimming and then cut it all together to music. And that's just one type of content that's been made by this. But it's like what's so crazy to me is how much content there is, how much stuff people have made from this. And it's there's so many different forms of it, from just informative videos to, cinema type videos to, people telling stories with it. There's one where like people did a whole movie, like a where they used gameplay footage and like narrated over like an entire narration of its own story inside the game. And there is, but what's so cool about it is it's only possible because of what Rockstar built in this game. All right. And how real it is and how alive it all is, because it really does, become this kind of living situation. One of the things that, I find really, really cool about the game itself and about the story mode of the game is how utterly cinematic some of it is. The scene where they go and they attack Braithwaite Manor, okay, where they've kidnapped John's son, and they posse up and go up and they ride down that lane, that tree line lane, to that massive plantation house, and they have this amazing shootout scene with these rednecks.
The shot when they're all standing outside of the house and they're all just like spread across the frame, and you see the house in the background and it kind of like rises up. That's like one of the best shots.
Oh yeah, it's really, really good, and again, really great dialogue throughout it. I mean, there's such great moments of dialogue all through it, and that's what I mean. Is it's this transcendent game that allows you for this like cinematic feel, and there's it's funny. What's funny about the game is simultaneously it's the best Western game that was ever made. All right. It's the best horse game that was ever made. All right. There's a whole subset of people that play this game only because how great the horse mechanics are. All right. People that are super into like equestrians and super into horses, they love this game because of how it treats horses and how important they are.
So are they like going out finding like the most magnificent horse anywhere in all of the plains, and breaking the horse, customizing it, and then like riding into the city with the fucking horse, and that's wild.
And in the online version of that, like, because you can, in the online version you can't break horses, but you can buy horses. That's one of the contention things, because. Again, at the end of the day, we talked about it at the beginning, and the reason that I wanted to mention all of the money aspect of it, this is a money-generating machine, okay? Like, at the end of the day, as cool as it is, and as groundbreaking as it is, and as beautiful as it is, it's a money-generating machine. Like, it's meant to generate people to be playing it and, trying to generate cash, and they want to sell things to you too. I mean, there's a whole aspect of it where, they want to sell you, access to the money to be able to buy stuff. So they make the in-game economies kind of fucking janky, but I mean, like, there's ways that you can get around it. If you want to grind, you can do it. If you're smart about it, and that's a whole nother subset of content. Here's how to get money fast. You want to get money fast online? Here's how to do it. You want to get money fast in the story mode? Here's how to do it, so that you can increase your in-game economy. But there's whole clubs. One of the things that, and I don't know if you and I have ever talked about this, but there's a great video. Maybe I'll link it for you this week so you can see this. There's a whole, so on the PC side of gaming for both GTA and for Red Dead, there is role play groups, like people that take the game extremely seriously. All right, where when you're in the game, you're in character, you don't break character, you are that person, it's like you are living that life. And there is a group in particular, the name escapes me right now, but where like you can't just be like, yeah, I'm going to join your gang or whatever. There's like a whole is very, very lengthy initiation process to be able to even join these guys to play the game. They're playing the game on such a high level, all right, that you can't just join them. Like, you got to go through a whole vetting process, all right, where not only are you playing the game and staying in character, but you're also helping people in that community, move along, and it's wild. There's a really great video that I'll link in the description for you. So, but that's what I mean, is that there's so many different facets. It's not just this one thing. It is this one thing, but it's so much more. There's so much more to the culture of this game, and it goes on both sides. And GTA is the same way. One of the things that happened in GTA over the last 10 years or 12, 13 years that game's been out, Rockstar gave access to people to essentially have the map and then convert it, and then they could host their own servers. And so there's this whole thing called 5M that Rockstar eventually bought, that they host private servers online on PC that are completely like their own thing. It's almost like it's its own game. They use the same world, the same mechanics, but now that's even advancing. There's one obviously GTA set in LA. There's one for Pittsburgh. There's one for New York. They're like expanding. They're putting different cities and putting their own spin on it. They're able to recreate the world using the engine that they use to build these games. And the reason they're doing that, obviously, is to keep people invested in the content, to keep people playing the game, so that when the new one comes out, it's going to be even more. Now, one of the things keeps getting thrown around about this game that's going to come, and I'll kind of end it here, and then we'll go into a deeper dive onto content around the game next week. Is there's a lot of people saying that there are going to be millionaires made off of this game. All right, people that play this game are going to become millionaires because there's going to be an in-game economy that is unlike anything that we've ever seen before. All right, and another kind of part of that is people create user-generated content. All right, that's the big buzz, is that the new GTA is going to have lots of user-generated content, like a la Roblox, where people are literally building parts, building games inside the games and building things inside the games that people can have access to, which is going to create, its own, streams of revenue for people, which is wild. All right.
That's going to be on Grand Theft Auto 6?
Yes. And then the other thing that I've heard, and so one of the things I keep talking about is how the game reacts to you. The new version, and you are correct. So AI is involved in the new game, but the AI that they're using involves the non-playable characters. The non-playable characters in the next game, all right, are going to have memory. All right, they're going to remember things that you do. So if you do something in front of them, near them, to them, and then you interact with that character again in the future, all right, they're going to have memory of that thing. Mm-hmm. All right, so it's going to so where this is turned up to 11, they're going to turn it up to 20. All right, and it's going to be the most realistic game that probably anybody's ever played. And so but therein lies what makes this one, again, so wonderful, is that it really starts to feel like a real place, that you are really doing things, that there are miners working at the mine, and there are people shopping in the shops, and there are people delivering goods and drinking in the bar and doing this, and it's all happening simultaneously, which is fucking nuts. All right, all these things are always happening all the time. And you almost get the sense at some points where you're like, I left this town and I came back, and that guy, he went home, he went to bed, he got up, he did some shit, he went to the bar, he got a meal, and then you came back and you found him standing in front of the gunsmith. All right, or the sheriff, is preambling, is ambling about the town. You know what I mean? And you can interact with each of these characters. You can greet them. You can antagonize them. You have the ability to interact with them in all these different ways. And this is the game that they came out with almost a decade ago. So the new one is going to be, so much more. And that's why it's so highly anticipated, is they know how good this one was. Everybody's holding their breath to see what the next evolution is and how far it's going to go.
What I want to see is the 4-hour documentary, DVD extra of the making of this thing.
I bet there is. I'll find one for you.
Yeah, I want to see all the behind the scenes stuff of the entire process from idea,
something out there,
from idea to release, because that to me would just be absolutely fascinating. Where do you see is the perfect version of this game where there are no NPCs, where every character that you come across in the game that would have been an NPC in 2018, it's now you can play an infinite number of characters if you just want to be the blacksmith's assistant. You can get on the open world game, and you can just go be have the life of the blacksmith's assistant and have nothing to do with the people that are out there.
So that's RP. That already exists. So in GTA RP, they have that. I have a couple of friends that play, and one day they were we were on Discord or something, and they were like, "Here, look at what we're doing." And these, my two friends are playing. They were fucking hanging drywall, dude. They were literally at work hanging drywall in the fucking game. All right. And I'm like, what the fuck?
That's hilarious.
I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, we're at work. And I'm like, what are you, are you doing construction? They're like, yeah, we're hanging drywall. And they're literally hanging fucking drywall. And they spend a few hours at work, and then they go about and, go out in the world. There's a lot of that. And those servers tend to be a little bit bigger, so they have more people in them. They have real, police in them. They have more, everything's kind of more up to date. There's phones, there's Twitter, there's this, there's that. But yeah, that stuff exists, where if you want a mundane job, you can go have a mundane job. It's not all just shoot 'em up. A perfect world in this game. The world's too vast to have everybody, have a single person playing all the roles. It's just, you'd have to spend an hour, really watching the game unfold to appreciate how alive the world is. You go into you go into Saint Denis and you're on your horse. You got to slow the fuck down, or else you're going to start knocking fucking people over, because there's fucking people everywhere. All right. One of the problems with the online version is it has a different feel, because they had to scale that shit back. Because online, there's too much shit going on and too many variables, so the rendering gets fucked up. So there's way less NPCs in the online version than there are in the in the story mode. The story mode, like I said, literally feels like it's alive sometimes. Where there's consequence, there's serial killers, there's murders, there's there's one scene where if you're in a certain town at 2 a.m. and you're walking down Main Street, some hooker pops out and is like, hey, help me, this guy attacked me. And you go up and you find that this hooker killed this guy, and she asks you to take his body and feed it to pigs. All right. But if you don't go there at 2 a.m., you never have that interaction. You don't know that ever happened. So it's ultra immersive in that sense. And so, you don't need there to be 1,000 people playing 1,000 characters for it to feel that way, because
Right.
they are doing such a good job at building that world and the world being so reactive that you wouldn't even miss it. And in fact, those types of situations, those people would probably pull you out of it more than keep you immersed in it. I don't know. It's really strange in that way. It's also really unique that your main character in the story mode talks. So like Arthur talks. There's a lot of interaction. In online, your character doesn't talk. His mouth doesn't move. Everybody talks at you. All right. Same with GTA, because they can't allow you to verbalize the what story arc there is in those games, because you're unpredictable. It's not. You see how it's not exactly the same. So to have that, you need to have the role play. I'll definitely send you some role play stuff, because there's a lot of guys that do just simply role play content. So what I'll do for next week, all right, I'm going to wrap this up.
Wait, you keep saying next week. We're talking about this again next week?
Oh, I thought that's what you said when you were like on air production meeting.
No, I was
okay.
I was just saying for like first segment, second segment.
Oh, okay. I got you. Sorry, I was thinking you wanted to go 2 weeks with it. Never mind. So, all right, then real quick, what I'll say is, just to kind of wrap it up, there's a whole nother subset of people that make content that is strictly RP content with this game as well. There's one guy that's hilarious. He's a black guy that he says he like rolls around and he's just ignorant as shit to people, and it's so funny. But that's what I mean. There's so many different ways that you can do this. If you play video games at all, you've never played Red Dead Redemption, you need to go ahead and get on it now. Play Red Dead Redemption 1, play Red Dead Redemption 2. You will not be disappointed, even in the older game. The older game is John going after all the old gang members and getting revenge on all the old gang members. He's going around and trying to pick. He gets picked up by the Pinkertons and is essentially forced to go and round up all the leftover members of the gang from Red Dead Redemption 2. That's the story of the second one. And then his tragic end.
We'll do sometime in the future, in the fairly near future, I'd say I'd be cool to do like another episode that was more about just like, video games, permeation into other facets of the culture and other genres, including people using, video games to create new content and stuff like that. I mean, just that alone would be really interesting. And of course, we could couple that with that Grand Theft Hamlet thing that I still haven't watched.
Hamlet, and like I said, there's a whole bunch of things. That's what we'll do. We'll do another one where we can do an episode that's dedicated more towards the boundaries that people can push with video games. As far as
because I would really like to get down a rabbit hole about like where the experts in the gaming world think that things will be like 10 years from now, Yeah. And I'm sure there's plenty of content out there about that. So, I've just been sitting here watching some of these videos on mute that you mentioned, and it's just like, it's mind boggling. Like the one that you linked to, it's just like, I guess you're the main character guy, but he's just like a killer. Yeah. And the person is just going through the game, just trying to kill as many people as possible.
Exactly.
Just like making a continuous video of the guy just like rolling through with a mask on.
Yep.
An assassin. It's wild.
All right. On that note, thank you guys for joining us. I will link plenty of stuff in the description on YouTube. I will leave you links that you can link in for the other platforms. Thank you for being with us. I'm Justin. That's my brother Matt. Inglorious Brothers. We really appreciate you guys spending some time with us. All right. Have a good one.
Inglorious Brothers is a Harperama production and a part of the Harperama family of podcasts. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please like, subscribe, and follow. Leave a 5-star review, and most importantly, tell all your friends about us. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. And, oh yeah, arrivederci.